Hello, and welcome to Beyond Books, where we talk about books and go beyond. I'm your host. I'm Renee. Co-host is here. Come on, Raina. Show yourself. She's the co-host and, oops, careful, Raina. She's the co-host and official mascot of the channel. Here, let me put this cup over here. It's just too tall. And today, her snack of the day is Grill House ribeye flavored little steak cuts. And she loves these. She's had these before. These were part of her Gotcha Day celebration, which I did post a short to announce that, little short video. And it has Raina sitting in a chair, getting all of her snacks, and she's wearing cupcake eyeglasses and a nice little headband that is pink, glittery, and looks very stylish on her. So if you haven't caught that, you'll have to see if you can take a look and see if you can find it in my playlists on my channel. But anyway, what we're here for today is the Snob-O-Meter book tag. And this tag was originally created by Isaiah at That Reading Guy 28. And I was tagged on this by several people. I was tagged by Lekdan at Reading from the Depths, which, if you haven't seen his channel, it's very good. He's very interesting, and I love the way he shares his opinions and thoughts on what he reads. So you should definitely go over there and check that out. I was also tagged by Stuart at Stuart Griffin, another great channel, and of course, Pat at Book Chat with Pat. So let's see what I can do with this tag. First question is, what is your definition of book snobbery? Well, I think that book snobbery is just basically thinking that you're better than other readers because of the types of books that you read. Number two is there a genre or type of book you would never consider reading, such as, would you ever read a romance? Or, if you regularly read romance, would you ever try a science fiction novel? So I want to say that there's not really anything that I would simply reject out of hand simply because of the genre. Now, I know that I don't generally, now this is just a general statement, I don't generally enjoy romance, sci-fi, or say maybe fantasy as much as, say, thrillers, contemporary fiction, or coming of age stories. I tend to lean towards those. But, last year I did read a science fiction book. I read Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. I read at least one fantasy book. It was Ahab's Return. I also read a couple of romances, interesting facts about space and the Kiss quotient. So yeah, Oh, I tried that other. What was that other romance? P.S. I Hate You. I didn't get very far with that one, but it was one of the very, very few books that I did DNF last year. So you try. Number three is, does erotica count as literature? I'm just going to say yes. I don't see why not. Number four, is it better to read classic books than popular bestsellers? Well, now I find that I read a mix. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I would encourage people who read a lot to maybe go back to the classics sometimes, at least, and just because of the universal themes and how those themes, recur sometimes even in popular literature. So, yeah, I would maybe encourage that, but it's entirely up to the individual, and I applaud them for whatever books they're reading. I mean, I think it's healthy for you to pick up a book, no matter what kind it is. Number five is, have you ever bragged about reading a classic in order to sound smart? I I don't think so. The reason I said that I would encourage any reading of a classic at all is, more for the universal aspect than to sound smart. So I hope not. Number 6 is, do audiobooks count as reading? And what about comic books or graphic novels? I'm just going to say yes and yes. Although I will say that I do seem to remember the books that I listened to in a different way than if I actually physically read them. Um, I'm I'm sure that listening as opposed to actual reading would look different in your brain on an MRI. I would assume so. It probably uses a different part of your brain to listen to something auditory other than absorbing it as a written word. Um, but in the end, I mean, it is absorbing of the information, the knowledge, and hopefully feeling the emotions that, the author was hoping to convey to you. So, yeah, I would say that they count. Now, graphic novels, I did read a few in 2024. I hadn't read a comic book graphic novel style of book in many, many years, really. And I was surprised that it took kind of a certain knack to get used to, seeing the pictures and the text and kind of absorbing those two things together. But in the end, I really appreciated the graphics, and they were fun books to read in that way. I mean, it was something different. I read the March series, which is a series of books about the civil rights movement, and in particular, John Lewis, who was a congressman for many, many years. The other ones I read that were graphic novels were like Heartstopper, that was one of the banned books, Flamer, Genderqueer, those are both banned books as well. So, yeah, it was just a different experience, but enjoyable. Number 7, have you ever looked down at someone for reading a popular fluff book? A book with little substance to it, for example, a self-help book or a celebrity memoir. Well, I hope that I never look down at anyone for that, because I've read those too. Um, they're just, they're part of our culture. They're a reflection of our culture. I will say that maybe someone, if they read something, say, like the National Enquirer or another type of news paper-ish style thing, or news articles that are known to fabricate or stretch the truth, and then they want to tell me their opinion based on, just that one article they read in the National Enquirer. I find that I don't want to hear their opinion. I'm probably not going to agree with it, for one thing, and also it's just not well founded to base your opinion upon something that is known to be an exaggeration. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. So I don't know if that's really being a snob. I mean, I don't look down on them as a person for having read that, but I just would rather not hear about it, because it's a waste of time. It seems like to me, it's a waste of time. Now, if you read the National Enquirer just to have a laugh while you're at the grocery store waiting in line, I mean, that's fine. You want to tell me how silly one of the articles were? I mean, that's fine too. But to say, oh well, I think this should be this way because it happened, and here it is in the National Enquirer. No, I don't think so. So number 8, have you ever been the recipient of someone else's snobbery? I'm sure. Absolutely. In many ways, not just with reading. I wish it were just with reading. Not really. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. Some people really, just stick with their genre, which is fine. Or they only read, say, nonfiction. I've heard some people say, because otherwise it's a lie. I mean, it's just known to be a fictionalized story. I mean, it hopefully will bring up the same type of emotions that an original story about the same thing, or a true story, about the same thing would bring up. But I don't know. It's not. I have a hard time calling it a lie. It's not really a lie. And I usually think of it more as like, I think of that more as like a closed-mindedness, but I guess if you want to call it snobbery, that works too. Would you ever be friends with a snob? And maybe you already are. Well, again, I'm sure I am, but I'm friendly with all kinds of people. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and I think it's a little easier online to just kind of watch people who read similar books as what you do. But out in the world, it's not quite so easy to pick and choose, and you don't know what kind of subject matter people might approach you and start talking about. But that's okay. People are just who they are. Like I say, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. Number 11 is for you to measure yourself. Here's the Snob-O-Meter. And based on your answers to the previous 10 questions, would you qualify as a book snob? I hope not. And I really don't think so. I think to even be a booktuber, it kind of takes a certain amount of caring and humanity towards others, to connect with others on that level. So I would say that, more of what is needed is acceptance and openness. And I feel like I've been that way on YouTube, I hope. And I feel like I've even maybe kind of getting better at that as time goes on. So I don't think that it really cultivates, BookTube really cultivates an attitude of snobbery or closed-mindedness in people. I think, if anything, it is the opposite way around. So the final is to tag some other snobs. No, just kidding. Tag some other people. So this one's gone around a little bit, but hopefully there are still some people left to tag, and I'm sure I can find some. I can find some snobs out there. Not just kidding. So yeah, if you want to measure yourself on the Snob-O-Meter, here it is. Here for your measuring. Otherwise, I will tag people in the description. I thank you so much for watching. Take care and have a great day.